We need leadership. We need cojones. Not beta boy cowardness that fears everything, beginning with our women. Who treated me justly, sir? My mother, my family, my grandmother, my friends, the guys in my baseball team, the guys on my baseball league, the guys who I have worked for, the women who I have sacrificed for, those who I feel treat me justly. Because in general, no, America has not treated me justly. I've had to scratch, claw, and fight. Since the age of 8, 9 years old, I had to fight every day. Every day I had to fight. And sadly, I grew up in a little enclave of the Cuban community. To this day, it is a 98, 99% Cuban community in my little town. And the people who I fought the most with were Cubans, white Cubans who would say that I couldn't be Cuban because of my black, long, straight hair and my dark brown skin. I couldn't be Cuban. In reality, I'm more Cuban than any of them ever were because my roots trace to the history, to the natives of the island, the Taínos, which populated all of southeastern United States into the Caribbean. I am Cuban. I'm Cuban heritage. I was born in New York, in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx, and then grew up in Miami, in Hialeah. Mujeres, fango y factoría was the tagline for Hialeah. Women, mud, and factories. There are still beautiful women in Hialeah. The mud has been pretty much cleaned up. We had a mayor who was kind of corrupt, but really did a lot for the city and put in all the roads and the sewers. Raul Martinez. And the factories are all gone. There are no factories in Hialeah. There are no factories in Hialeah. And sadly, the original Cuban population is not there. You know, I talk about the original Cuban exiles who, you know, bless their hearts, they voted Republican out of a delusional, misguided idea that Kennedy was going to go back the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, which was poorly planned, poorly conceived, was never going to have any kind of success. And they all failed, you know, within 20 minutes. And in their minds, Kennedy betrayed them because he was supposed to back them up. And I said it before, if there was any conversation, I'm sure it went, if the operation succeeds, we'll come and back you up. But there was never any, you know, consideration that if they failed, they were going to come and expose their nation to a nuclear war against Russia. So, like I said, their hearts were in the right place. They wanted to free their nation, but it was a poor. But the point is that the Cuban exiles voted Republican because of that. That's it. Even though they all received Social Security and benefits and the Cuban laws to give them benefits and things that I, as a born American, never really had opportunity to get. Because they got food stamps, they got checks, they got help in establishing themselves in this new country that the majority of them never got. All of us, I know, Sebastian, and I'm not saying all of you, and I'm not saying all the Cubans did that. The vast majority did not. You know, I love my Cuban culture, and Cuba was never the racist country that you know kind of grew in the Cuban community in the U.S. And it wasn't that they wanted to be racist; it's that they saw the horrible treatment of people who weren't.